You wake up with your heart hammering in your chest, covered in a light sheen of sweat. It takes you several seconds to remember who you are, where you are, and that the world is governed by normal physics. Because for the last 4 hours you weren't in your bed. You were in an infinite grocery store, trying to buy a specific brand of applesauce. But the applesauce was actually a metaphor for your capability as a mother. And the cashier was your 3rd grade teacher, who was inexplicably angry at you. Then you gave birth to a kitten, and then you forgot the kitten on a bus. When you tell your partner about the dream over breakfast, they chuckle. "Pregnancy dreams are wild, huh?" they say. Wild doesn't begin to cover it. The term doesn't do justice to the intense, cinematic, high-definition hallucinations that pregnant women experience night after night. They aren't just slightly weird dreams. They are profoundly exhausting emotional odysseys that leave you feeling like you've lived a full, stressful lifetime while you were supposedly resting. If you are experiencing these hyper-vivid, deeply strange, and often highly stressful dreams, you need to know this. Your brain isn't short-circuiting. You aren't losing your grip on reality. What you are experiencing is a spectacular side effect of a brain architecture that is systematically rewiring itself under the influence of extreme hormonal pressure and sleep. Architecture disruption. Your mind is working exactly the way it's supposed to as it prepares for the psychological earthquake of motherhood. Let's dissect the biology of the pregnancy dream. The first culprit, as always with pregnancy, is progesterone. Throughout your first and second trimesters, your body produces massive amounts of this hormone. Progesterone is a sedative. It makes you incredibly fatigued during the day, but at night, this heavy hormonal blanket changes the fundamental structure of your sleep cycle. We sleep in a repeating cycle of stages, moving from light sleep to deep sleep, and finally into REM, rapid eye movement sleep. REM sleep is where the vast majority of our dreaming occurs. Normally, when you are in REM sleep, your brain is highly active, but your body experiences a temporary paralysis, REM atonia, to stop you from acting out your dreams. But pregnancy ruins the architecture. Because of physical discomfort, the frequent need to urinate, the leg cramps, the sheer inability to find a comfortable position with a human being growing in your abdomen, pregnant women wake up constantly. A 2016 study found that pregnant women experience drastically fragmented sleep. And here is the crucial neurological mechanism. When your sleep is constantly interrupted, you wake up during REM cycles far more frequently than a non-pregnant person. When you sleep completely through a REM cycle and wake up in a lighter stage of sleep, you often forget the dream entirely. It fades into the ether. But when you are awakened abruptly in the middle of a REM cycle because you have to pee, or the baby just kicked you in the ribs, the dream is interrupted mid-scene. The imagery is still fresh on the synaptic pathways. Your brain captures the memory of the dream with high-definition clarity. You aren't necessarily dreaming more than you used to. You are remembering the dreams with a terrifying level of detail, but that only explains the vividness. It doesn't explain the content. Why are the dreams so bizarre? Why do you dream about giving birth to animals, or losing the baby, or forgetting how to perform basic tasks? To understand this, we have to look at what the brain is doing during REM sleep. Evolutionarily, dreaming isn't just random static. Many neuroscientists believe REM sleep serves a crucial function called threat simulation and emotional regulation. Think of your brain during REM sleep as a flight simulator. During the day, your waking mind is dealing with an escalating pile of complex anxieties. Will I be a good mother? Will the birth hurt? How will this change my relationships? Am I ready for this? These are massive existential fears that are too heavy to process fully while you're awake, working, and trying to function. So, when you go to sleep, your brain loads these anxieties into the simulator. But the brain doesn't speak in logical sentences during REM sleep. The prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational part of your brain, is largely shut down. Instead, the amygdala, the emotional center, and the visual cortex are highly active. The brain takes the raw emotion of fear of being unprepared and translates it into a visual narrative. Since the logical editor is offline, the narrative becomes surreal. Dreaming that you gave birth to a kitten or an inanimate object or a full-grown adult is incredibly common. It is your brain's symbolic way of processing the sheer, unfathomable strangeness of giving birth to a new entity. Dreaming that you placed the baby somewhere and forgot where they are, or left them on a bus. That is your brain simulating the absolute worst-case scenario of negligence so that you can process the fear of failure in a safe, simulated environment. A fascinating study published in the journal Sleep analyzed the dream content of pregnant women compared to non-pregnant women. They found that expectant mothers had significantly more dreams, featuring themes of danger, anxiety, and conflict. And here is the beautiful, counterintuitive conclusion the researchers reached. The women who had the most stressful, anxiety-ridden dreams during pregnancy actually experienced shorter labors and lower rates of postpartum depression. Let that sink in. The nightmares were not a sign of a fragile mind. They were a sign of a highly functional, proactive mind. The women whose brains forced them to confront their deepest maternal anxieties during the safe REM state were essentially doing emotional heavy lifting ahead of time. Their brains were using the bizarre, terrifying dreams as a psychological pressure valve, venting the anxiety so it wouldn't overwhelm them once the baby actually arrived. Your brain is running stress tests in the dark, preparing you for the reality of the light. So the next time you wake up from a dream where you were trying to diaper a watermelon while being chased by giant spiders, don't feel crazy. Don't feel like your anxiety is spiraling out of control. Take a deep breath, drink some water, and recognize what your brain is doing. It is working the night shift. It is meticulously processing your fears, managing your psychological transition, and rewiring your identity from individual to mother. It is exhausting. The dreams can be bizarre and unsettling, but it is your biology's profound way of getting you ready for exactly what comes next. If this series has helped you understand the science behind the most transformative experience of your life, subscribe to this channel, because the science of motherhood and what it reveals about the human brain is just getting started.